I don't want to hear anybody blaming conditions. At the end of the day, Oxford were not good enough. Hello everybody, it's a very grumpy Ian from OUFC Fan View, for it's time to do another review of another Oxford United game. It was a big game at the top of the table. It was 5th versus 6th as Oxford United were at home to Barnsley. So a game against a promotion rival, a good opportunity for Oxford to lay down a marker for how serious they are for this promotion push. Yes, the weather was atrocious and didn't help make it a spectacle of a game at all, but Oxford United, regardless of the weather, were very poor today, and it is Barnsley who come away from the Kassam Stadium with a big win, so full credit to the Tykes. It finished Oxford United 0, Barnsley 1. So another sobering defeat against a promotion rival for Oxford United. We'll get into all of it. We'll break the game down. I'll go over the team news. I'll go over the game. And I'll give my final thoughts for both sides. You can jump to any part of the video if you like, because I do put timestamps down below. But if you do that, then please, can you hit that like button, because that does help me out so much. And if you do like the content, consider subscribing. I do have to give a shout out as well to Michael Sneed, who gave me a super chat on video. I think it was the Coventry defeat, so I really needed it after that one, and I really need it for this one as well. But thank you, Michael, and thank you for everyone's support. I do appreciate it. So let's get into the team news then. It was just one change for Des Buckingham's side after that victory against Carlisle. Sam Long returned from injury in place of Oshon Smith at the back. Joe Bennett kept his place in the side over Greg Lee, and it was a home debut for goalkeeper Jamie Cumming. Tyler Bure will hope to get a home debut himself, as he is on the bench, but there will be no Will Goodwin. He is Oxford's latest signing, the latest newest striker to come into Oxford United. We signed him from Cheltenham last week, but unfortunately he has a slight quad injury, so won't be available for a couple of weeks, which is bloody typical. Moving on to Barnsley then, and Neil Collins' side started the game in 5th place and only ahead of Oxford United on goal difference. But the Tykes have been on an excellent run in Sky Bet League One. It's 10 games, 11 now without defeat, and they came from behind a week ago against Carlisle to get a 2-1 victory. There were some surprises in the lineup though. No Luke O'Connell and no Callum Stiles, so 2 key players missing for Barnsley. But Nicky Cadden, who scored in this fixture last season, returns on the left-hand side, as does John Russell into midfield. But the danger men for Barnsley are certainly the front two, and that is Devante Cole and John McAtee. Cole is the leading goal scorer in League One this season, and between the two of them they have 24 goals so far. And let's not also forget ex-Oxford loanee Herbie Kane, who is another danger man pulling the strings in midfield. So let's move on to the game then. I'm going to say this straight away. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse for why Oxford lost, but the conditions were atrocious. A very windy night, like 40, 50 mile an hour winds, driving rain, made 100 times worse, no doubt, by the openness and the crappy design of the Kassam Stadium. And it did make for a bit of a scrappy game, certainly in the opening 10 minutes. And it was really a series of mistakes or fortunate efforts in the first sort of 20 minutes of the game. First of all, for Oxford United, Russell gave the ball to Harris in midfield, and then Jevingi, I'm going to say that name wrong, sorry. He slipped over and it allowed Harris to drive forward with the ball, but he couldn't outrun the defenders, couldn't really get the ball out of his feet. But he does play the ball across to Stevens, who hits a shot from the edge of the box, but it does go well wide. And then just a couple of minutes later, it was Barnsley who got a little bit fortunate, but it was a good ball out from Herbie Kane to Cadden on the left-hand side. And Cadden, who has a great left peg, whipped a ball in. It must have hit a gust of wind, because it ends up smashing against the crossbar or against the post and going out of play. Just 3 minutes after that, and it's another mistake in the Barnsley back line, which nearly lets Marcus McGuane in. He gets there ahead of Roberts in the Barnsley goal. I think it's Williams who played a poor header back. But McGuane, not really the ideal man to be in this position for Oxford United. He couldn't really do much with the bouncing ball and makes a bit of a mess of the effort, and Barnsley were able to clear. So it's a very scrappy game. The wind obviously really affecting both teams, and both teams not really being able to get their foot on the ball. But if anything, Barnsley did start to grow into this game far more than Oxford United did, with McAtee and Cole playing off the shoulder, always looking dangerous, trying to get in behind. A couple of times the offside flag went up, which may have been a bit fortunate for Oxford United. But after about 20 minutes, Barnsley did start to create chances. Firstly, it was a mistake from Oxford United. It was coming under pressure, played the ball straight to Cole on the edge of the box. Cole opted for a quick shot, but it was wayward and went wide. But a minute later, it was another good chance for the Tykes. It was Nicky Cadden again on that left-hand side. He puts a fine ball, low ball in, and it's McAtee who gets there first, but can only stab it wide on the stretch. But the pressure started to tell on Oxford United, and on 29 minutes the decisive goal came in this game. A free kick for Barnsley on the left, their left, Oxford's right. Herbie Kane put the ball in, cleared by Oxford first time around, but it came back to Phillips, who was in acres of space. Oxford didn't close him down. He put a very good ball in to the middle of the penalty area. Devante Cole, challenged by Sam Long, puts the pressure on. Sam Long gets his head on it, but he can only put it past Jamie Cumming from about 10 yards. If it was Devante Cole who got the goal, it's a bloody good header. But yeah, unfortunately for Sam Long, first game back for a while, he puts the ball into the back of the net. And to make matters worse, that was it for Long. That was it, because just a couple of minutes later, he went down with a nasty head injury, and he ended up having to go off and was replaced by Ossian Smith. And then you had a period where Barnsley were in control of the game and Oxford were really struggling, but no real chances until kind of the end of the first half, really. O'Keefe shanked an effort wide, and then a good move by Oxford, a rarity. Harris put a ball wide while he was under pressure. And then Joe Bennett, another Oxford injury, had to go off, so Greg Lee replaced him. And then right at the very end of the first half, Greg Lee, with virtually his first touch, heads the ball from a deep area right back into the middle of the goal for Russell, who wasted a good chance with virtually the last kick of the game. Oxford very glad to hear that half-time whistle, and other than a few Barnsley mistakes, Oxford really struggled, in my opinion, to create many chances. And yeah, you can put it down to the weather, but those players have got to come to terms with the conditions and at least try to play their football. Too much sideways movement, sideways and backwards, as we always seem to see from Oxford United. But Barnsley just looked like they had so many more options when they were on the ball. Kane and Phillips had far too much time and space, and Cadden was a constant danger down the left-hand side. And you've got those two forwards who always look dangerous in and behind, trying to get in behind the back line all the time. Oxford will be hoping that a change of fortunes with the wind at their back might be able to turn things around. At the start of the second half, it very nearly did. It was probably Oxford's best chance of the game. It was a great chance for Mark Harris. Conditions playing their part again. It was Shepherd in the back line who almost tries to get down and head this ball back to Roberts on the floor. What the hell is he doing? And he makes a mess of it. Harris gets there before Roberts. He tries to poke it past him, but in fairness to the Barnsley keeper, he does make a good save. And that was probably about Oxford's best chance in this second half, which is incredibly frustrating. How once again, it seemed like Barnsley were just able to deal with the conditions. Oxford far too frantic. The game was very scrappy. Barnsley made it a very stop-start game, and Oxford really struggled to get any momentum into this game at all. And I would say they didn't really start to put any pressure on Barnsley until the final 10 minutes. You had that whole second half where Oxford just basically did nothing. So passive the way we passed the ball around. You would think we were the side who were winning 1-0, the way we just didn't seem like we were that fussed to try and put Barnsley under that much pressure. Tyler Bure came on for his debut. Oxford didn't really give him the ball, but he did look a little bit lost out there as well. But let's not give up on him. It's still early days and not easy conditions for him to come into. But there were a couple of chances at the end of the game, and Cameron Brannigan, not surprisingly, at the heart of it, and it was him who smashed the bar on 84 minutes. So again, I talked about the Harris chance. This probably was just as equally as close, but Harris, it would have been a wonder strike from Brannigan. It's one of those ones where he picked the ball out, no one around him, and he's just chanced his arm with the wind. It's gathered momentum and it's rocketed back off the bar. The rebound goes right wide of Rodriguez as well. Nicky Cadden had a shot for Barnsley towards the end of the game. And then right on the 90th minute, Brannigan wins. Oxford with a free kick 30 yards out. Brannigan, you know what he's going to do. He's just going to drill it at goal. It's a low shot. It's straight at Roberts. But got to say, Roberts in these conditions did really well to hang on to the ball. Not enough from Oxford United. Fair play to Barnsley. great win for you guys. Safe travels to those fans that made that horrible trip down in these conditions. And yeah, another stinging, horrible defeat for Oxford United, and these defeats against promotion rivals are starting to rack up. So that brings me on to my final thoughts, and let's start with the visitors, Barnsley. Look, once again, great win for you guys. It's not about how you do it, it's about getting the job done. I watched your victory over Carlisle a week ago, and again, I didn't think you were that impressive that day, but you found a way to win. And again today, you found a way to win. You got your goal when you were on top of the game, and then you backed yourself to defend. And I do think you just dealt with the conditions better than Oxford United in that second half, where Oxford had the wind at their backs. You thought they'd be driving forward constantly, but Barnsley were just very good at breaking the game up, slowing the game down, and obviously keeping the ball better than Oxford United as well. Those front two are a handful. Good options from the bench as well. I know there's some frustration, though, about the lack of players that has come in and how you haven't brought anybody in, and the fact that the two players that were missing today, there's rumours that they might be players that are sold. So I'd be interested to know from Barnsley fans your view on this game and your view on your thoughts about getting promotion this season, and whether you're going to be backed by bringing new players in by the board in order to sustain a promotion push. But in terms of this game, just looked a more composed side than Oxford United, and looked a more seasoned and experienced side than Oxford United, which is frustrating because Oxford have got more than enough experience on that pitch. But let's move on to Oxford United now. I'm really disappointed by this performance today, and you can blame conditions, and I'm sure some people will say that it was a factor, but Oxford just did not do enough, in my opinion. They did not deal with the conditions well in the first half, and second half far too frantic, far too many loose passes, far too many just driving balls forward that were always going to skip off the turf and go behind, and just no sustained pressure on this Barnsley lineup. I think we should have changed it from playing three at the back. I think we should have changed that formation up for midway through the second half, or when Bure came on, and gone a bit, maybe even tried to push a second striker up. We didn't even have O'Donker on the bench, so we couldn't even bring a second striker on and create pressure in that way. But yeah, a couple more injuries for Oxford, which doesn't help the squad. But this was another game against a promotion rival where, in my opinion, we were second best. And these are the games where you've got to start taking points off these teams that are in and around you, and we're the ones that are falling back, and we're the ones that are coming up short. And that's 4 games now Des Buckingham's had against sides in this promotion push. We've got a 0-0 draw against Bolton, which slightly looks a little bit fortunate, and then we were well beaten by Peterborough. Devastating defeats to Derby, and a really poor performance against Barnsley. So Oxford need to turn this around. It's 8 defeats now on the season for Oxford United. That already seems like it's way too many. It's going to be a difficult game against Bristol Rovers at the weekend, and then a huge one against Portsmouth next Tuesday night. Doesn't look like Goodwin's going to be back for any of those ones. We're going to have to wait for him till February. And this side just looks devoid of pace, devoid of skill, and devoid of ideas. And that really needs to be addressed in this transfer window. And Oxford, I'm thinking now, Oxford need to go on a bloody good run at the back end of this season if we're going to sustain a promotion push. Because disappointingly, this was poor again today. Let me know your thoughts below. Let me know what you thought of the game. Let me go if you went to it. Well done for braving those horrible conditions. Yeah, there'll be a lot of doom and gloom, but just let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Very disappointed with the Will Goodwin situation as well, but I guess it can't be helped. But signing injured players is never a good look, is it? But we'll move on. I'll do a review of the Bristol Rovers game, which I've got to say at the moment I'm absolutely dreading, knowing how badly we normally do against them. But we'll see how it goes. Won't be at the weekend, Oxford fans. Hopefully it'll be a bit better. Hopefully the weather will be a bit better. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.